Hey, it's Carissa.
And we're not Maddie.
You're not watching the Disney Channel right now. You're listening to Dreadfully Twisted. Cue the music, but we're back. Well, I'm back this week.
We're also back.
Yeah, you guys are back. Because Maddie's not here. She is sick, and her parents are sick too, so I couldn't go over there to record, so we're going to miss her this week.
Yeah.
But
they get better soon.
Yeah, so hopefully they get better soon. But in her place are my sisters, Jackie and Jocelyn. So you guys heard them before, like at the beginning of the podcast, whenever we first started.
About spooky things.
Yeah, talking about all the spooky stuff. So
and the pizza delivery man scared me.
Yeah, the pizza guy scared us.
You remember that?
Yeah.
That was hilarious. Good time.
That was fun.
We practically jumped out of our skin. It was great.
I got so scared because I was really talking about, I forget what I was talking about. I think I was talking about the time where I was walking into the house and I thought I heard somebody outside. And I thought it was like a skinwalker or something.
And
then the
pizza guy came.
And I was like, oh my god, no.
Not again! We were like in it too. It was awesome. But now this time we're at my house.
Yeah, we're at Jackie's house. And they're doing hair, so if they sound a little echoey, I'm sorry. I'm not going to fix that in editing. just to let you know, I'm not fixing that. So deal with it, please.
I do my best to talk loud, but I am currently doing Jackie's hair.
Yeah, she's dyeing her hair, bleaching her hair, bleaching hair. Lightening it, so lightening. Yeah, so I'm a little unhinged today, like I always am. So
Carissa unhinged? Why?
When does that happen?
Must be a relation thing. We all do it.
I think the last episode we were very crazy and we had so many bloopers because I just couldn't stay on track. Like I don't know what it was, but like I was just not here. I don't know.
We kept getting sidetracked. No big deal. I'm getting bleach on your teeth. Okay, it's the cover. Okay, good.
And I'm not cutting that out either, so
this is gonna be a raw.
Yeah, this episode
cut.
Is a raw form of me and my sisters.
So you are in for a ride.
So this one,
and we're sober.
Yeah, we're sober. So let's get into it because this might be a little bit long because I feel like it is because it's a mystery one.
Ooh.
So it's something that I've been wanting to cover for a while, but I just haven't yet. I don't know why I haven't. I think mainly because it takes place in Russia, and a lot of the names are hard to pronounce. So
apologies.
I'm going to apologize for butchering everything that's in this. So sorry about that. Please correct me in our discussion group on Facebook called Dreadfully Twisted Podcast Discussion Group. Go there and correct me and talk to us
nicely. No toxicity in the group.
Yeah.
We ain't got time for that. We need some positivity in this world.
Yeah, but I mean, if you want to correct me nicely, you can go ahead
nicely.
There.
There is a way to correct somebody nicely.
So this one, I don't know if you ever heard of it because it's, like I said, like before we started, it's not really true crime. Like it is, but it's not. But it's called the Dylatov Pass incident.
Oh.
I don't believe I have heard this one.
Yeah, which is also known, like, in, like, Russian. You probably won't be able to even hear that, it's fine. But in Russian, how they say it translates to Death of the Dylatov Hiking Group. So that's also what it is known as. So people do die, but I don't know what the cause is, because there's different, like, theories.
Is it like a paranormal thing that happens, or
is it more kind of like a Chernobyl situation?
A triangle situation.
So you'll see, and I see there's a little tree on top of your cabinets.
Yeah.
It's a little tree.
Yeah, I still have my, like, village up there.
Oh, okay. I was just like, there's a little tree. But this was an event which 9 Soviet ski hikers died in the northern Ural Mountains between February 1st and February 2nd of 1959. So it happened in the old-timey times.
That's not old-timey times. Old-timey times is like 1900s.
Well, I like to do cases from like 1950s until like the 1800s. So I always do old-timey stuff. But I don't know, 1959 is not really that old-timey, but some people could.
Classic.
Yeah, vintage.
Vintage.
As my wedding theme might be. Under uncertain circumstances, that was the finish of the sentence, but I cut it in the middle of the sentence. I get distracted easily.
We'll try to keep you on track.
Yeah.
My ADHD is always like kicking in. Okay, the experienced hiking group from the Ural Polytechnical Institute, led by Igor Dylatov, had established a camp on the eastern slopes of Kolat Cycle in the Russian SFSR. So I am so sorry if I butchered that, because I feel like I did. Of the Soviet Union. Overnight, something caused them to cut their way out of their tents and flee the campsite while inadequately dressed for the heavy snowfall and sub-zero temperatures.
Ooh.
So that is the overview of what happens. But we're going to go...
Something caused them to...
escape their own tents.
Yes, and they were in the mountains and there was very snowy.
Was it a Yeti?
There's theories that we'll go into
Don't
later.
get into that. You're jumping ahead.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Before we get to the theories, though, I want to dive in a little bit about who these 9 hikers were, why they were even in the mountains, and stuff first before we dive into what could have happened and what some believe have happened. But in 1959, the group was formed for a skiing expedition across the northern Urals in Sverdlovsk Oblast, Soviet Union. I am so sorry. I cannot pronounce things that I do not know how to say it. According to the prosecutor Templov, documents were found in the tent of expedition suggest that the expedition was named for the 21st Congress of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union. It was possibly dispatched by a local Komsomol organization. Igor Dylatov, who was a 23-year-old radio engineering student at the Ural Polytechnical Institute, which is now known as Ural Federal University, the leader assembled a group of 9 others for the trip, most of whom were fellow students and peers of the university. The initial group consisted of 8 men and 2 women, but 1 member later returned due to health issues. Each member of the group was an experienced grade 2 hiker with ski tour experience and would be receiving grade 3 certification upon their return. So they were going pretty much to get a higher certification, but they were very experienced hikers.
I was gonna say, it sounds like they were experienced in this, so it's not like they weren't, like, it's not like they were newbies doing this.
Like a bunch of randoms.
Yeah, so it's very interesting and mysterious of how this happened, because what happened shouldn't have happened if they were that experienced. Yeah. To keep going into it a little bit, at the time, grade 3 was the highest certification available in the Soviet Union and required candidates to traverse 300 kilometers, which is 190 miles. The route was designed by Dylatov's group to reach the far northern regions of the mountains, I'm not saying that word again, and the upper streams of the Lazva River. The Sverdlovsk City Route Commission approved the route. This was a division of the Committee of Physical Culture and Sport, and they confirmed the group of 10 people on January 8th of 1959. The goal of the expedition was to reach Orton, a mountain 10 kilometers or 6.2 miles north of the site where the incident occurred. This route, estimated as Category 3, was undertaken in February, the most difficult time to traverse. So that's probably why, because it was like the most difficult time to be going in the mountains, and it was already difficult enough, but at the same time, like, I feel like if they're so experienced, this shouldn't have happened.
Right.
Yeah, but at the same time, too, like,
you don't know, like, what weather and nature could do, yeah.
In an instant, especially in those kinds of atmospheres. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, anything could happen.
Mm-hmm. On January 23rd, 1959, the Dylatov group was issued their route book, which listed their course following the number 5 trail. At that time, the City Committee of Physical Culture and Sport listed approval for 11 people. The 11th person listed was Semyon Zolotarov, who was previously certified to go on another expedition of similar difficulty, the Sogrin Expedition Group. The Dylatov group left the city, which is today Yekaterinburg. on the same day they received the root book. I am so sorry if I butcher these. I really apologize. It's just I can't, like, I listen to like how you pronounce these, but I just for some reason can't grasp it. So I am so sorry.
The German language is very hard.
This is Russian. Yeah.
Sorry. The Russian language is, I mean, German too, but
Yeah.
those languages are pretty hard
Yeah.
to pronounce. So, apologies again.
The leader, who was Igor Dylatov, was born on January 13th, 1936. He was 23 at the time. His cause of death was from hypothermia.
Yeah,
So they did find them.
Yes.
Okay.
oh, so they weren't just missing.
No,
They
they found them. And some of the people, how they found them doesn't make sense for what people say happened.
Oh, okay.
Which we're going to go into now.
Okay.
That was
Yuri,
gonna be my question: is if they found the body.
yeah.
Okay.
Yuri Nikolaevich Doroshenko. He was born January 29th, 1938. He was 21 at the time. His cause of death was also from hypothermia.
Babies.
Yeah, they're younger than me,
Oh my god.
which makes me like, oh my god.
They were just babies.
Leo Demilla Alexandrovna Dubina. She was born May 12th, 1938. She was 20. Her supposed cause of death was from internal bleeding and severe chest trauma.
What?
Yeah.
Like somebody beat her.
Yeah, that's not normal.
Yeah. Georgy Yuri Alexeyevich. He was born February 7th, 1935. He was 23 at the time. His supposed cause of death was hypothermia. Alexander Kolotov. He was born November 16th, 1934. He was 24 at the time. His supposed cause of death was hypothermia. Zenaida Kolmogorova. She was born January 12th, 1937. She was 22. Her cause of death was hypothermia. Rustam Vladimirovich Slobodin. He was born on January 11th, 1936. He was 23. His cause of death was also hypothermia. Nikolai Vladirovich Thabo Brignols. I am so sorry. He was
Look at it and see if you can.
like, it's just so hard. Like those letters just don't go well with my mouth. Yeah.
Nikolai Vladimirovich Theobald Brignolis.
He was born July 5th, 1935. He was 23. Nikolai's cause of death was from a fatal skull injury.
Oh my god.
Semyon Zolotarov. I couldn't find his birthday, but he was born in 1921 and he was 38. His supposed cause of death was from severe chest trauma. Yuri Yudin. He was
Like,
born.
the hypothermia I get, but these trauma ones, it's like, what the heck happened?
He was born July 19th, 1937. He was 21. He left the expedition on January 28th due to illness. He died April 27th, 2013 at the age of 76. So he was the only survivor because he left.
He left.
So he lived.
He lived to like kind of an old age.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he left before they actually went on the expedition.
Oh, okay.
Because he got sick.
Luckily, he got sick.
Yeah. Which is crazy to think like he could have been a part of it if he
Yeah,
stayed.
can you imagine the survivor's guilt he would have had? Like thinking that if I would have went on this trip,
Yeah.
you know, like that survivor's guilt he would have had. Like, oh man.
So the group arrived by train at Ivdel, a town at the center of northern province of Oblast, in the early morning of January 25th, 1959. They took a truck to Vizhai, a Lori village that is the last inhabited settlement to the north. So it's like the last town before they get to the mountains, pretty much.
Yeah, okay.
On January 27th, they began their hike towards Gora Orton. On January 28th, one member, Yuri Yudin, who had several health ailments, including rheumatism and a I can't speak today.
Congenial?
Yeah, heart defect, turned back due to a knee and joint pain that made him unable to continue the hike.
Aw.
The remaining 9 hikers continued to hike. Diaries and cameras found around their last campsite made it possible to track the group's route up to the day preceding the incident. On January 31st, the group arrived at the edge of the highland area and began to prepare for climbing. In a wooded valley, they cached surplus food and equipment that would be used for their trip back. The next day, the hikers started to move through the pass. It seems they planned to get over the pass and make camp for the next night on the opposite side. But because of the worsening weather conditions, snowstorms, and decreasing visibility, they lost their direction and deviated west toward the top of Kolot cycle. When they realized their mistake, the group decided to set camp up there on the slope of the mountain rather than move 1.5 kilometers, which is 0.93 miles downhill to forested area that would have offered some shelter from the weather. So they set up camp on the side of the mountain, like at like an angle, which also doesn't really make sense. But
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they were just like thought like, okay, we can't keep going. We gotta stop here.
Yeah, at some point they probably thought, you know what, we should just make camp for the night.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yuri Yudin, the one who left due to illness, speculated, quote, Dylatov probably did not want to lose the altitude they had gained, or he decided to practice camping on the mountain slope, end quote. Before leaving, Igor Dylatov had agreed he would send a telegram to their sports club as soon as the group returned to Vizhai. It was expected that this would happen no later than February 12th, but Dylatov had told Yuri Yudin before he departed from the group that he expected it to be longer. When the 12th passed and no messages had been received, there was no immediate reaction, as delays of a few days were common with such expeditions.
Right.
On February 20th, though, the travelers' relatives demanded a rescue operation, and the head of the institute set the first rescue groups, consisting of volunteers and students and teachers. Later, the army and militia.
Wait, were these?
Students?
They were university students.
Oh, that's why they were babies.
That's why they're babies.
Yeah, I think I
We
said
say
that.
babies, we just mean youngins.
Yeah, whenever I think I said that at the beginning, but I might have not like
You
said
might
it
have
like.
said at the beginning, I just wasn't paying
She
attention.
did, yeah, but
Yeah, no, it's okay. I also
I
probably
couldn't remember.
I probably went over it really quickly.
yeah.
Okay. So later, the army and militia, which is the police in Russia, forces came involved, with planes and helicopters ordered to join the operation. On February 26th, the searchers found the group's abandoned and badly damaged tent on the mountain. The campsite baffled the search party. Mikhail Sharvivin, where the student who found the tent, said, quote, the tent was half torn down and covered with snow. It was empty and all the group's belongings and shoes had been left behind, end quote.
What?
Yeah.
Their shoes.
Why would you take their shoes?
So they were left behind.
Or,
They didn't.
It gets even
that's the thing, like, why would you, I mean, I guess not.
It gets even weirder. It gets even weirder. If you think that's weird, it gets weirder.
Yeah.
Investigators said that talking is so hard.
Words are hard, okay?
Talking, like, kind of reading my notes and talking as from, like, because I know, like, what I wrote, my mouth gets, like, all mixed up because I'm trying to talk faster and go ahead, if that makes any sense.
Your
So this,
brain is thinking faster.
but this happens every single week. You guys know that I'm terrible at this, so, like, so you know by now.
You get the drill, it's fine.
Investigators said that the tent had been cut open from the inside. 9 sets of footprints left by people wearing only socks or a single shoe or even barefoot could be followed, leading down the edge of a nearby woods on the opposite side of the pass, which is 1.5 kilometers or 0.93 miles to the northeast. I have both because, like, we go by miles and then Russia and every other country goes by kilometers, so I have
we
both.
had to be different.
Yeah, because we're weird.
Use the metric system.
After 500 meters, which is 1,600 feet, these tracks were covered with snow. At the forest edge, under a large Siberian pine, the searchers found the visible remains of a small fire. There were the first 2 bodies there, those of Georgie and Yuri, shoeless and dressed only in underwear.
Oh my god.
The branches on the tree were broken up to 5 meters high, suggesting that one of the hikers had climbed up to look for something, perhaps the camp.
Oh wow.
Between the pine and the camp, the searchers found 3 more corpses, Dylatov, Zenaida, and Rustam, who died in poses suggesting that they were attempting to return to the tent. They were found at distances of 300, 480, and 630 meters, which is 980, 1570, and 2070 feet from the tree. Finding the remaining 4 travelers took more than 2 months. Wow. They were found finally on May 4th under the 4 meters, which is 13 feet of snow, and a ravine 75 meters, which is 246 feet further into the woods from the pine tree. 3 of the 4 were better dressed than the others, and there were signs of some of the clothing of those who had died first had been removed for use by the others.
Wow.
Yeah. Ludmilla was wearing Georgie's burned, torn trousers, and her left foot and shin were wrapped in a torn jacket. A legal inquest started immediately after the first 5 bodies were found. A medical examination found no injuries that might have led to their deaths, and it was concluded that they all died of hypothermia. Rustam had a small crack in his skull, but was not thought to be a fatal wound. An examination of the 4 bodies found in May...
wait. The first ones that they found were all hypoxia.
Hypothermia, yeah.
Hypothermia.
Yeah.
But the one, Rustum, he had a small crack in his skull, too. But their cause of deaths were labeled as hypothermia.
Okay.
An examination of the 4 bodies found in May shifted the narrative of the incident. 3 of the hikers had fatal injuries. Nikolai had major skull damage, and Ludmila, I'm so sorry, and Simon had major chest fractures. According to Boris Vozrozdeny, the force required to cause such damage that would have had been extremely high, comparable to that of a car crash. Notably, the bodies had no external wounds and associated with the bone fractures, as they had been subjected to a high level of pressure.
High level.
I said
High level.
high level.
Okay.
Did I say that different?
Yeah. Your dyslexia is showing.
It is. I was subjected to a high level of pressure.
We're allowed to pick on you. We're your sisters.
I else can though.
No, it's fine. I do it all the time. When we were talking about spooky games, the one time I said stiff as a feather, light as a board or something.
Oh, wait, that's not right.
I do it all the time. I don't know why. My brain is just like, say this instead. Because it's wrong.
ADHD. I do it all the time too.
I didn't even notice. I was just, whatever, it's fine. It's okay.
It's alright.
Laugh at that, it's fine. All 4 bodies found at the bottom of the creek in a running stream of water had soft tissue damage to their head and face. For example, Ludmila was missing her tongue, eyes, and part of her lips, as well as facial tissue and a fragment of skull bone, while Simon had his eyeballs missing. And Alexander, his eyebrows were missing.
His eyebrows. Mm-hmm.
Must have nice eyebrows.
V.A. Vozrozdeny, the forensic expert performing the post-mortem examination, judged that these injuries had happened post-mortem due to the location of the bodies in the stream. They were...
Post-mortem is what, after death?
Yeah, after death. There was initial speculation that the indigenous Mansi people, reindeer herders local to the area, had attacked and murdered the group for encroaching on their lands. Several Mansi were interrogated, but the investigation indicated that the nature of the deaths did not support this hypothesis. Only the hikers' footprints were visible, and they showed no signs of hand-to-hand struggle. Although the temperature was very low, around negative 25 to negative 30 Celsius, which is negative 13 to negative 22 Fahrenheit, with a storm blowing, the dead were only partially dressed. Some had only one shoe, while others were only socks. Some were found wrapped in snips and ripped clothing that seemed to have been cut from those who were already dead. So some of them were found, like, completely naked.
Oh, wow.
Journalists reporting on the available...
Negative degree temperatures is insane.
They wouldn't have lasted very long.
Well, there's, It's fine. You don't have to be so quiet. It's okay. Journalists reporting on the available parts of the inquest files claim that it states 6 of the group members died of hypothermia and 3 of fatal injuries. There were no indications of other people nearby that part of the mountain from the 9 travelers. Other than the 9 travelers. The tent had been broken from the inside. The victims had died 6 to 8 hours after their last meal. Traces from the camp showed that all group members left the campsite on their own accord on foot. Some levels of radiation were also found on victims' clothing.
Oh, great.
And it gets weirder.
Uh-huh.
Oh, great.
The dispel of the theory on an attack by the indigenous Mansi people, they stated that the fatal injuries of the 3 bodies could not have been caused by human beings because the force, quote, because of the force of the blows had been too strong and no soft tissue had been damaged, end quote. Released documents contain no information about the condition of the hikers' internal organs. There were no survivors, except for the one that left beforehand. At the time, the official conclusion that the group members had died because of compelling natural force, the inquest officially ceased in May of 1959. As a result of the absence of a guilty party, the files were sent to a secret archive.
So, like, it was just like a cold case at that point.
Yeah, and it went secret to a secret archive.
Like they hide in something.
They hide in something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. On April 12th,
That's suspicious.
Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
In this case, they're suspicious.
Yeah.
I'm very suspicious.
On April 12, 2018, Simon's remains were exhumed on the initiative of journalists at the Russian tabloid newspaper. I'm not saying that name because I'm going to butcher it, so I'm just going to say in the newspaper. Contradictory results were obtained. One of the experts said that the character of the injuries resembled a person knocked down by a car, and that the DNA analysis did not reveal any similarity to the DNA of living relatives. In addition, it turned out that Simon's name was not on the list of those buried at the cemetery. The reconstruction of the face from the exhumed skull matched post-war photographs of Simon, although journalists expressed suspicions that another person was hiding under Simon's name after World War II.
What?
Yeah. On February 19th, not February 19th, that says February 2019. In February 2019, Russian authorities reopened the investigation into the incident.
So it's recent.
Although only 3 possible explanations were being considered. An avalanche, a slab avalanche. I said avalanche really. I was like, avalanche? I went into like a weird like accent for a second. Or a hurricane. The possibility of a crime had been discounted. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to have a hurricane.
Not in the
In the mountains?
Yeah.
An avalanche, maybe, because in the snow, because they were covered in snow.
They were buried in snow, so
They were
an
buried in
avalanche
snow.
makes sense because, like, that would explain most of their injuries. But a hurricane in the mountains doesn't make sense.
No. Yuri, who was 12 years old at the time, who later became the head of the Dylatov Foundation, attended 5 of the hikers' funerals. He recalled that their skin had a deep brown tan.
Ew.
Radiation?
Burns?
Yeah. Deep brown tan.
Yeah.
Like their dead bodies had
Mm-hmm.
tanned.
Yeah.
Didn't you just say in a couple, like, minutes ago that radiation was suspected on some of the bodies?
Yeah.
On their clothes.
There was radiation found on some of their clothes, yeah.
What could have caused that?
We'll get into it.
Could that have been part of the avalanche?
No.
No.
That couldn't have been part of the avalanche.
No.
No. There's more information that I haven't got to yet that does explain some of it,
Okay.
but it also brings up another theory.
What made them reopen the case?
I think people were just looking into it, and like I do also get into that. Like whenever I go into the theories, I go into why the theories were
Okay.
opened at the time.
Because like that's like a long time for someone to be like, oh, let's just
Yeah,
into
because
this.
2019.
From 1950 to, like, 2019, that's a good bit of time passage.
So that's 60 years.
Yeah.
Exactly 60 years.
Yeah.
So like what something had to have made them be like, we need to look into this.
Yeah, and it's still like today. I don't think it ever has been solved, but yeah, we'll get into that a little bit
Our
further.
own version of unsolved mysteries.
Yeah. So another group of hikers about 50 kilometers, which was 31 miles south of the incident, reported that they saw strange orange spheres in the sky to the north of the night of the incident. Similar spheres were observed in Ivdel and adjacent areas continually during the period from February to March of 1959. By various independent witnesses, including the meteorology and service and the military, these sightings were not noted in the 1959 investigation, and various witnesses came forward years later. So that's part of the reason why I got reopened, because other people were like, hey, we saw these weird orange spheres happening on this day or these months.
It's like, hey, something wasn't right.
Yeah, something suspicious was going on here, so gotta look into that.
Aliens! It's the aliens!
Who knows? Or it could be Yetis, or it could be other stuff.
Oh, now we're getting into the X-Files.
Or supernatural.
It's always supernatural.
Carry on my wayward
Yeah.
And that's it. We don't have the rights to that song, sorry.
Oh no, I forgot to do this. We always do this thing in the beginning where we go, well, of course, we're half of Dreadfully Twisted's here, but Dreadfully Twisted's back again, Dreadfully Twisted's back, tell your friends, and family. And we got that from Eminem, and when we first started doing that, I said, Eminem, please don't sue us.
Please don't sue us.
Even though you're never going to listen to this because you're too famous for that.
Please don't sue us. We love you.
He's a chill dude anyway.
Yeah, but that's what we do at the
Unless
beginning.
you make him mad, he will.
Yeah.
But it takes a lot to make that man
Yeah, but that's what we normally do at the beginning. So, and then we sang Britney Spears last time because
why not?
because it was the guy.
Britney, bitch.
I did Robert Durst, and he's a serial killer,
Okay.
and he was being very sus. And I was like, he's not innocent. And then Maddie started singing, and I'm not that innocent. And then we just went into the whole song. And that was in the bloopers.
That's great. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, back on track though.
Okay. Anatoly Gushkin summarized his research of the book of the Price of the State Secrets as 9 Lives, which is the name of the book, which was released in 1990. Some researchers criticized the work for its concentration on the speculative theory of a Soviet secret weapon experiment. But its publication led to public discussion stimulated by interest in the paranormal. Indeed, many of those who had remained silent for 30 years reported new facts about the incident. One of them was a former police officer who led the official inquest in 1959. In 1990, he published an article that included his admission that the investigation team had no rational explanation for the incident. He also stated that after his team reported that they had seen flying spheres, he then received direct orders from a high-ranking regional officials to dismiss this claim.
Wow.
Oh, somebody knew something.
That's suspicious.
Yeah.
That's very.
That's sus.
In 2000, a regional television company produced a documentary film, The Mystery of Dylatov Pass, with the help of the film crew. A writer, Anna Matavia, published a docudrama novella of the same name.
Her name is probably Anna, but
Anna, I am so sorry. I am so butchering these, and you guys can hate me. I can't speak. I can't speak another language. I don't know.
you can barely speak English.
I can barely speak English, yeah.
So cut us some slack, okay?
I
We're
can
not doing this on purpose. We literally just can't even, we can't talk.
Talking is just so hard. A large part of the book includes broad quotations from the official case, diaries of victims, interviews with searchers, and other documentaries collected by the filmmakers. The narrative line of the book details the everyday life and thoughts of a modern woman who attempts to resolve the case. Despite its fictional narrative, her book remains the largest source of documentary materials ever made available to the public regarding this incident. Also, the pages of the case files and other documentaries and photocopies and transcripts are gradually being published on web forum for enthusiastic researchers.
Oh, so it's like being published, available for anybody else who's into it. Figure it out.
Yeah, or to research it, yeah. The Dylatov Foundation was founded in 1999 with the help of Ural State Technical University, led by Yuri, the 12-year-old who saw the bodies. And he was the one who founded the Dylatov Foundation. The foundation's stated aim is to continue investigation of the case and to maintain the Dylatov Museum to preserve the memory of the dead hikers. On July 1st, 2016, a memorial plaque was inaugurated in the Ural Perm region dedicated to Yuri Yudin, the sole survivor of the expedition group who died in 2013.
Aww.
Numerous theories have been put forward to the account of the unexplained deaths, including animal attacks, hypothermia, an avalanche, catabolic winds, infrasound-induced panic, military involvement, or some combination of these factors.
No, they make sense.
Yeah.
Panic one sounds different, though. I've heard of that.
Yeah. Russia opened a new investigation in the incident in 2019, and its conclusions were presented in July 2020, that the avalanche had led to the deaths. Survivors of the avalanche had been forced to suddenly leave their camp in low visibility conditions with inadequate clothing and had died of hypothermia. Andrei Kurakov, deputy head of the regional prosecutor's office, said, quote, "It was a heroic struggle. There was no panic, but they had no chance to save themselves under the circumstances," end quote. A study led by the scientists from EPFL and ETH Zurich, published in 2021, suggested that the type of avalanche known as a slab avalanche could explain some of the injuries.
Okay.
So the slab avalanche theory, in 2019, the Russian government reopened the Dylatov Pass incident. Andrei Kurakov, the prosecutor who led the new investigation, proposed a slab avalanche theory. The slope on which the hikers planted their tent wasn't steep enough to suggest that there was that. Jesus. can't speak.
It's okay. Take your time.
The slope on which the hikers planted their tent wasn't steep enough to suggest that there had been a traditional avalanche. But Kurakov theorized that it was possible for a slab of snow to slide out over the tent. This might have caused the hikers to fear that a larger avalanche was imminent, and it could explain why they cut their way out of the tent and ran without grabbing anything, like their boots or any other stuff.
Yeah, that does make sense if they were not exactly in a panic, but they're like, oh, we don't have time.
Like, we gotta get out of here right now.
Yeah. Kurakov speculated that the hikers ran to what they thought was a safe distance from the tent, then they started a fire and dug a snow den. The snow den could have collapsed on the hikers who were inside, causing the severe injuries found only on the bodies in that area. Scavenging animals could have eaten the missing eyes and tongue. Those outside the tent would have died from the cold.
Yeah.
After Kurakov released his theory, 2 researchers in Switzerland decided to test it. In 2021, Johann Guame and Alexander M. Pierzrin published a paper in Communications, Earth and Environment that used mathematical model to determine if a slab avalanche was possible given the location of the tent and the weather conditions at that time.
Okay.
They concluded that it was indeed possible. Whether it really happened that way is another matter. Quote, "We do not claim that now we have a final explanation of what happened," end quote, says Pierzrin, who was a professor of the geochemics and geosystems engineering at ETH Zurich. Quote, "But we added plausibility to the avalanche theory," unquote. "What they're describing is impossible," says Ethan Green, a director of the Colorado Avalanche Information Center. "Is it likely? That's pretty hard to tell," is what he said.
So they're saying, so the other guy's saying that it's not possible.
Yeah. He said it could have been, but it's really hard to tell if it actually was.
So, as the Mythbusters would say, this theory is plausible?
It's plausible. Yeah.
Plausible, but
Not confirmed.
not confirmed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jim McElwain, a professor of geohazards at Durham University, points out that slab avalanches usually occur at steeper inclines than the one in the Dylatov Pass incident.
Did we go over what a slab avalanche is?
Yeah,
I missed that part.
it's whatever, like the first layer of snow collapses on, like down a little bit.
It's
It's not a full avalanche, but like a first layer of snow pushes down.
Like in a slab?
Yeah, so
Like all at once?
yeah, I'll read it again. I'll go back up.
Read it back.
I'm sorry, I missed that part.
That's okay. Okay, so the slope on which the hikers planted their tent wasn't steep enough to suggest that there had been a traditional avalanche, but it's theorized that that wasn't. Okay, wait.
Yeah, essentially the what you said, the first layer of fresh snow is what fell off. The rest of the snow stayed there.
Okay.
So theorized that it's possible for a slab of snow to slide out over the tent. So a slab of snow from above fell on the tent, is what they were theorizing. But it wasn't like all the snow like an avalanche really would be.
Like a section of it.
Yeah, a section of it.
Yeah, partial avalanche.
Okay. Sorry.
That's okay.
I am dumb.
You're not dumb. You just didn't retain that part. That's all.
All the chemicals in my hair.
So Jim, a professor at Geohazards of Durham University, points out that slab avalanches usually occur at steeper inclines than the one in the Dylatov Pass incident. It's unlikely, but that doesn't stop it being the best explanation, he says. I don't know what else it could be.
The slab I can't talk either.
Slab
A slab avalanche still does not explain the radiation.
No.
No, that's what I'm confused about.
Yeah.
Where's the radiation coming from?
This wasn't anywhere like near Chernobyl or anything.
No, I don't think so. So the original explanation, I'm just going to go over that a little bit. Reviewing a sensationalist Yeti hypothesis, American skeptic author Benjamin Radford suggests that an avalanche was more plausible. This is his, like this whole thing that I'm going to read now is his quote. That the group woke up in a panic, cut their way out of the tent either because of an avalanche had covered the entrance to their tent or because they were scared that an avalanche was imminent. Better to have potential repairable slit in the tent than risking being buried alive in under tons of snow.
Yeah.
They were poorly clothed because they had been sleeping and ran out to the safety of the nearby woods where the trees would help slow oncoming snow.
Okay.
In the darkness of night, they got separated into 2 or 3 groups. One made a fire, hence the burned hands, while the others tried to return to the tent to recover their clothing since the danger had passed. But it was too cold and they froze to death before they could locate their tent in the darkness. At some point, some of the clothes
They wouldn't have grabbed any equipment.
Yeah.
Either. Yeah.
Okay, where was I? At some point, some of the clothes may have been recovered or swapped from the dead, but at any rate, the group of four whose bodies was most severely damaged were caught in an avalanche, buried under 4 meters, which is 13 feet of snow, more than enough to amount for the compelling natural force, the medical examiner described. Dubina's tongue was likely removed by scavengers and ordinary predators.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. But
Radiation.
there is contradictory evidence. Contradicting the avalanche theory includes the location of the incident did not have obvious signs of an avalanche had taken place. An avalanche would have left certain patterns and debris distributed over a wide area.
Right.
The bodies found within a month of the event were covered with very shallow layers of snow, and there had been an avalanche of sufficient strength to sweep away the second party. These bodies would have been swept away as well. This would have caused more serious and different injuries in the process and would have damaged the tree line, which it didn't. Over 100 expeditions to the region had been held since the incident, and none of them have ever reported conditions that might cause an avalanche. A study of the area using up-to-date terrain-related physics revealed that the location was entirely unlikely for such an avalanche to have occurred. The dangerous conditions, quotes, found in another nearby area which had significantly steeper slopes and cornices were observed in April and May, where the snowfalls of winter were melting. During February, when the incident occurred, there was no such conditions.
So they're saying that an avalanche happened or could have happened, but the evidence is saying otherwise.
Yes, because it wouldn't happen in that area compared to other areas. An analysis of the terrain and slope showed that even if there could have been a very specific avalanche that found its way into the area, its path would have gone past the tent. The tent had collapsed from the side, but not in a horizontal direction. So again, if an avalanche would have occurred, the tent would be gone.
Yeah. And the tents were still there.
Mm-hmm. Dylatov was an experienced skier, and the much older Zolotarov was studying his master's certificate in ski instruction and mountain hiking. Neither of these two men would have been likely to camp anywhere in the path of a potential avalanche.
Right.
Yeah, they were smart enough not to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So, why would an avalanche be the thing that did them in?
Yeah. Footprint patterns leading away from the tent were inconsistent with someone, let alone a group of 9 people running in panic from either real or imagined danger. All the footprints leading away from the tent and towards the woods were consistent with individuals who were walking at a normal pace. Because there's snow, you can see the footprints.
Yeah.
So there was a repeated 2015 investigation that I haven't went through yet. A review of the 1959's investigation evidence completed in 2015 to 2019 by experienced investigators from the Investigative Committee of the Russian Federation, which is the ICRF, on request of the families, confirmed that the avalanche was several important details added. First of all, the ICRF investigators, one of them was an experienced alpinist, confirmed that the weather on the night of the tragedy was very harsh, with wind speeds up to the hurricane force 20 to 30 meters per second, which is 45 to 67 miles per hour, or 72 to 108 kilometers per hour. A snowstorm, temperatures reaching negative 40 Celsius, which is also negative 40 Fahrenheit? That doesn't make sense, but okay. These factors were not considered by the 1959 investigators, who arrived at the scene of the accident 3 weeks later, when the weather had much improved and any remains of the snowslide had settled and had been covered with fresh snowfall. The harsh weather of the time played a critical role in the events of the tragic night, which had reconstructed as followed. On February 1st, the group arrives at the mountain and put up the 9-person tent on an open slope, without any natural barriers such as forests. On the day of a few preceding days, a heavy snowfall persisted with strong wind and frost. The group, traversing the slope and digging a tent site into the snow weakened... Oh god, my research just went away. Okay.
I'm done.
It was like, you're done. You're messing this up. Stop.
Even your computer's like, nope, you're done.
Oh god, okay. During the night, the snowfield above the tent started to slide down slowly under the weight of the new snow, gradually pushing the tent fabric and starting from the entrance. The group wakes up and starts evacuation in panic, with only some able to put on warm clothes with the entrance locked. The group escapes a hole cut in the tent fabric and descends the slope on the pace perceived as safe from the avalanche, only 15 meters down at the forest border. Because some of the members have only incomplete clothing, the group splits. 2 of the group, only in their underwear and pajamas, were found at the Siberian pine tree near a fire pit. The bodies were found first and confirmed that they died of hypothermia. 3 hikers, including Dylatov, attempted to climb back into the tent, possibly to get sleeping bags. They had better clothes than those who at the fire pit were wearing, but still quite light and inadequate footwear. Their bodies were found at various distances between 300 to 600 meters from the campfire. And poses suggested that they had fallen exhausted while trying to climb in deep snow and extremely cold weather.
Yeah.
So the ones that were by the campsite were the ones that with the less clothes?
Yes.
With the least amount of clothes?
Well, the ones by the fire pit.
The fire pit, yeah.
Were the one with the least clothes. The ones found by the
So
tent
they were
were
trying to keep warm, while the other ones that had more clothes.
We're trying to get people clothes. But this is all from the 2015 investigation. They're just re-saying what they found and what they think could have happened. The remaining 4, equipped with warm clothing and footwear, were trying to find or build a better camping place in the forest further down the slope. Their bodies were found 70 meters from the fireplace under several meters of snow, with traumas indicating that they had fallen into a snow hole formed above the stream. These bodies were found only after 2 months. According to the ICRF investigators, the factors contributing to the tragedy were extremely bad weather and lack of experience of the group leader in such conditions, which led to the selection of the dangerous camping place. Which doesn't make sense because Dylatov was very experienced. I don't know why they're saying that he
had certifications.
Yeah, so I don't get why they're saying he was inexperienced when he wasn't. Doesn't make sense.
Was he the oldest too?
Yes.
So he had more experience.
He was 23.
So they're trying to hide something.
Yeah.
You can't tell me otherwise.
After the snowslide, another mistake of the group was to split up rather than building a temporary camp down the forest and trying to survive through the night. Negligence of the 1959 investigators contributed to their report, creating more questions than answers, as well as inspiring numerous alternative conspiracy theories. There was support from a 2021 model that was led by Johan and Alexander. They published a new model on the communications earth and environment that demonstrates how even a relatively small slide of snow slab on the mountain slope could have caused tent damage and injuries consistent with those suffered by the Dylatov team.
Right.
But the other theories, there's another one that is catabolic wind. In 2019, a Swedish-Russian expedition was made to the site after investigations. They proposed that a violent catabolic wind was a plausible explanation for the incident. Catabolic winds are somewhat rare events and can be extremely violent. They were implicated in 1978, not 1979. They were implicated in a 1978 case at Naras Mountain in Sweden, where 8 hikers were killed and only 1 was severely injured. The typographical? It's TOPOGRAPHY.
Typography.
Yeah, that word. Can you say that like into them?
Typography.
You want us to use it in a sentence?
The typography of these locations was noted to be very similar, according to the.
My word of the day. Monday.
Do it.
Do it.
Typography of these locations was noted to be very similar, according to the expedition. What? What? Can I speak? No. Okay. Get it together. Get it together, Carissa. Okay. A sudden catabolic wind would have made it impossible to remain in the tent, and the most rational course of action would have been for the hikers to cover the tent with snow and seek shelter behind the tree line. On top of the tent, there was also a flashlight turned on, possibly left there intentionally so that the hikers could find their way back to the tent once the winds had subsided. Jesus. Okay. The expedition proposed that the group of hikers constructed two shelters on which collapsed, leaving 4 of the hikers buried with the severe injuries observed. Another theory is infrasound. So another hypothesis popularized by Donnie Acher's 2013. This doesn't say 2018. What the heck? I'm just making up dates. It's fine. I'm just making things up.
It's fine.
Your brain wanted 2018.
My brain's like 2018. What happened in 2018? Okay, stop. 2013 book Dead Mountain is the wind going around the mountain create a Kármán vortex street. I don't know what that is. Okay, which can produce an infrasound capable of inducing panic attacks in humans.
Okay.
So, according to this theory, the infrasound generated by the winds as it passed over the top of the mountain was responsible for causing physical discomfort and mental distress in the hikers. The theory claims that because of their panic, the hikers were driven to leave the tent by whatever means necessary and fled down the slope. By the time they were further down the hill, they would have been out of the infrasound's path and would have regained their composure, but in the darkness would have been unable to return to their shelter. The traumatic injuries suffered by 3 of the victims were a result of their stumbling over an edge of a ravine in the darkness and landing on the rocks on the bottom.
Oh.
So infrasound, made them go crazy.
Did they say when they found the bodies that they were face down?
I didn't find anything on that.
Because that would make sense.
Yeah. I didn't find anything on that, so I don't know. Let me see if I can find something on that.
Yeah, because all of that would make sense with all of the different things that they found. Like if they were face down, it would prove that they tripped or something.
Yeah. Let me see if I can look that up. For the Dylatov. So there's pictures.
Oh,
Oh,
of the bodies?
what?
I want to see.
Morbid curiosity has taken over.
They were face down.
They were face down.
If you scroll through all that, there's pictures. Yeah, so they were found face down, which does make sense to pretty much any of the theories.
Mm-hmm. But then how would their eyes and stuff been eaten out?
That is... some of the theories were because, animals in the area were eating it.
But if they're face down,
That's true.
it's almost like they were before they died.
What?
Yeah, but they said it was post-mortem.
Yeah, but they said a lot of things, and then they were proven.
What if... what if this is just a theory? This is one of my theories, not even a theory that I found. What if it was staged?
Yeah.
To make it look like it was an avalanche. And then they removed their eyes and stuff after they died.
Yeah, because they could have made it, staged it like it was an accident to cover something up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it got filed away in this secret vault.
Because my next theory that is actually people believing was military tests.
Looking at the rest of the pictures.
I didn't get to see the rest of the pictures.
So I'm just going to keep going. The military tests were another theory. In one speculation, the campsite fell within the path of the Soviet parachute mine exercise. This theory alleges that the hikers, woken by loud explosions, fled the tent in shoeless panic and found themselves unable to return for supply retrieval. After some of the members froze to death attempting to endure the bombardment, others got their clothing only to be fatally injured by subsequent parachute mine concussions. There are indeed records of parachute mines being tested by the Soviet military in the area around the time the hikers were there.
Oh.
Parachute mines detonate while still in the air rather than upon striking the Earth's surface and produce signature injuries similar to those experienced by the hikers. Heavy internal damage with relatively little external trauma. This theory coincides with the report sightings of glowing orange orbs floating or falling in the sky within the general vicinity of the hikers.
That's what other people saw.
And allegedly photographed by them. Potential military aircraft or descending parachute mines, this theory, among others, uses scavenging animals to explain Dubina's injuries. Some speculate the bodies were unnaturally manipulated on the basis of characteristic liver mortis markings discovered during an autopsy, as well as burns to their hair and skin. Photographs of the tent allegedly show that it was erected incorrectly, something that experienced hikers were unlikely to have done. And if you remember from the very beginning, they got turned off path
Yeah.
on accident.
Yeah.
So it could have just been wrong place at the wrong time. I feel like if they maybe were still on path, and then this wouldn't have happened if it was that theory.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like you said, wrong place, wrong time,
They shouldn't have been there.
And that's why
They weren't supposed to be there.
They weren't supposed to be there, so like they were doing the testing, not realizing people were there.
And then they got caught in it, and then they got found, and they're like, yeah, we gotta cover this up. So avalanche it is.
A similar theory alleges that the testing of radiological weapons and is based partly on the discovery of radioactivity on some of the clothing, as well as the descriptions of the bodies by relatives as having orange skin and gray hair. However, radioactive dispersal would have affected all, not just some, of the hikers and equipment. The skin and hair discoloration can be explained by natural process of mummification after 3 months of exposure to the cold and wind. The initial suppression by Soviet authorities of files describing the group's disappearance is sometimes mentioned as evidence of a cover-up, but the concealment of information about domestic incidents was standard procedure in the USSR and thus far from peculiar. By the late 1980s, all Dylatov files have been released in some manner.
Oh, wow.
The radioactivity... Oh, were you going to say something? I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, so like after, 30 years, they decided to release the information.
This radioactivity on the clothes could have been explained by the fact that 2 years before, there had been a nuclear incident known as the Kystum disaster. One of the hikers on the trip had lived in a contaminated zone and another had helped with the cleanup. Despite this, many Russians continued to suspect that the government was hiding something. Theories about what happened would have included Yetis, the KGB, and the CIA.
But if they're going to go that route with the Yetis, it still doesn't explain the radioactivity. It would explain everything else, but not the radioactivity.
Or the burns on the bodies and the discoloration and all that stuff.
Yeah, but it does kind of explain the discoloration because of the body sitting in the cold.
Yeah,
well, the burns too, because you can get cold burns.
You can get cold.
It's
burns.
true. Get burns from being cold.
If you're too cold, or you're if people who play with nitrogen, if you touch nitrogen,
yeah,
you
it's
can
true.
get 3rd-degree burns.
That's true. That's very true.
If it was as cold as they're saying it was, they could have got burns for being too cold.
Yeah. Oh, wow. This episode's long, sorry. I just checked the time. I was like, it's over an hour. Okay.
This may be a 2-parter.
It's not going to be a 2-parter, because I'm almost done.
Okay.
Never mind.
So, one of the other theories was paradoxal undressing.
What the heck is that?
I like how she looks at us like, go ahead.
Go ahead. You know it. You.
International Science Times position... what? I don't even know what the heck I write whenever I do this stuff. I think I mistyped. International Science Times stated that hikers' deaths were caused by hypothermia, which could have induced behavior known as paradoxal undressing, in which hypothermic subjects remove their clothes in response to perceived feelings of burning warmth. It is undisputed that 6 of the 9 hikers died of hypothermia. However, others in the group appeared to have acquired additional clothing from those who had already died, which suggests that they were of sound enough mind to try to add layers. So what it pretty much is like you're so cold that your body thinks you're burning up.
Like your brain starts to think, oh no, you're not cold, you're burning up.
You're
Or essentially your body's trying to heat yourself up, and it's just like a whole brain move that they're doing. Okay.
Like psychological.
But are they trying to say that they're not sure that that's the case because the other ones were conscious enough to realize that they needed more clothes?
Kind of, yeah. It's like that, and also it could have just, some of them had, the ones that had more clothes on were more of a sound mind to add clothes, where the other ones who were just in their pajamas or underwear had that happen to them. That's why they died of hypothermia, and the other ones died of other causes. But it still doesn't explain why the other ones died from skull fractures and severe chest trauma and internal bleeding whenever...
And had missing eyes and tongues.
And eyebrows. The eyebrows...
They were face down.
Yeah.
The eyebrows is what gets me, though.
Just the eyebrows.
Why?
He had great eyebrows. Yeti was jealous.
Yeti was jealous.
He was like, damn those brows. And had to have them.
The eyebrows is what gets me. Everything else, I'm like, okay, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Different kinds of trauma. They could have fallen a certain way or anything like that, But eyebrows? You really don't.
That's why I also think, I personally think it was military tests.
But still,
don't come after me. I'm a conspiracy theorist. Don't come after me.
Entertainment purposes only.
Entertainment purposes only. Government, please do not come after me.
But Even
Because
like,
like the bombings or the mines could have singed the eyebrows off.
But why just his?
Maybe he was the closest.
because I was like, even like if let's say it was an animal and they managed to get under the body to eat these things,
Why the eyebrows?
they wouldn't go after eyebrows because it's fuzzy and gross.
Yeah,
They would
I don't
go
know.
after like the soft meats, like your cheeks and stuff.
Eyeballs, tongue, cheeks.
Yeah,
I'm
radiation.
with the Yeti theory.
Jealous Yeti.
Jealous Yeti.
Okay. I should get a t-shirt made with that.
Jealous Yeti.
Yeti. His arms crossed looking like... And just have a picture of brows.
Oh my god, I can do that. I really could.
Jealous Yeti.
I have so many ideas for shirts that I just haven't done because I am just too busy. But
Jealous Yeti has to be one of them, and I would buy one.
okay. I mean, you came up with the idea, so you just get one for free at that point.
We can just draw it for you.
Yeah, do it.
Jealous Yeti.
Jealous Yeti.
Don't tempt me, I'm gonna do it.
So if you guys want merch and you want a Jealous Yeti shirt, let me know.
It's gonna be adorable.
One of these times we will come out with merch. I am just so busy. I work a full-time job. I do this, and I also have a side business of making stuff. So I'm sorry that I haven't done it yet.
And she's still waiting on me to do the logo.
It's okay.
It's taking so long.
I keep forgetting.
Just like I keep forgetting your guys' phone cases. Your cup? I
My
made your...
Sailor Moon cup.
Oh, yeah. Okay, we're just gonna get back into this.
My pop socket and my sweatpants.
Well, your pop socket you just said the other day.
I know.
So
But my sweatpants.
I need...
My t-shirt for my birthday.
Okay, so the other theories... other theories...
She's regretting us.
Why am I here?
Maddie, why did you get sick?
She's like, Maddie, don't ever get sick again.
Please. Just kidding.
You just picked on you.
Just kidding. Just kidding. Okay, so Keith McCloskey, who has researched the incident for many years, has appeared in several TV documentaries on the subject. Traveled to the Dylatov Pass in 2015 with Yuri, the 12-year-old who also created the Dylatov Foundation, and a group. At the Dylatov Pass, he noted there were wide discrepancies. I cannot talk. It's been an hour. I'm sorry. My brain's just like, stop.
You want me to take over?
I mean, there's just a little bit left. There were discrepancies in the distances quoted between the two possible locations of the snow shelter where Dubina, Kolotov, and Zolotarov and Nikolai were found. One location was approximately 80 to 100 meters from the pine tree where the bodies of Doroshenko and Korvashenko were found. Another suggested location was so close to the tree that anyone in the snow shelter could have spoken to those at the tree without raising their voices to be heard. The second location has also had a rock in the stream where Dubina's body was found and is more likely location of the two. However, the second suggested location of the two had topography that is closer to the photos taken at the time of the search in 1959.
Okay.
The location of the tent near the ridge was found to be too close to the spur of the ridge for any significant buildup of snow to cause an avalanche. Furthermore, the prevailing wind blowing over the ridge had effect of blowing snow away from the edge of the ridge on the side where the tent was. This further
was disproven then.
This further reduced any buildup of snow to cause an avalanche. The aspect of the lack of snow on the top and near the top of the ridge was pointed out by Sergei Solgren in 2010. McCloskey also noted that Lev Ivanov's boss, the deputy head of investigative department of the prosecution office, was still alive in 2015 and had given an interview to former prosecutor in which he stated that he was arranging another trip to the past to fully investigate the strange deaths of the last four bodies when Deputy Prosecutor General Yurikov arrived from Moscow and ordered the case to be shut down.
Oh.
Sounds like somebody was afraid of something being discovered.
Yeah. Okishev was stated in his interview with Proshkin that Kilnov, head of the prosecutor's office, was present at the first postmortems in the morgue that spent 3 days there, something he regarded as highly unusual and the only time in his experience it had happened.
So wait, the bodies sat there before they did anything with them?
Bodies sat there for 3 days
Before they did the autopsy?
before anything happened. Yes.
Like, after they took him from the site, took him to the morgue, and they sat there for 3 days.
Yeah, so they that the head of the prosecutor's office was present at the first postmortems in the morgue and spent 3 days there. So yeah, so he was the first one to go there. Like, the prosecutor's office was the first one to go there and look at the bodies, and then the bodies spent 3 days in the morgue.
That's also suspicious.
That sounds hinky.
And that was the first and only time that it happened, too.
Like, he didn't do it with the other ones.
Mm-mm. Only the first of the bodies. Don't be suspicious. Donnie Echar, who investigated and made a documentary about the incident, evaluated several other theories that were deemed unlikely or have been discredited. They were attacked by the Mansi or other local tribesmen. The local tribesmen were also known to be peaceful, and there was no track record of evidence or of anyone approaching the tent either. There were attacks and chased by animal wildlife. There were no animal tracks, and the group would not have abandoned the relative security of the tent. So your Yeti explanation is not possible.
Aww.
But the jealous Yeti.
Still making a design.
High winds blew one member away, and the others attempted to rescue that person. A large, experienced group would not have behaved like that, and the wind strong enough to blow away people with such force would have also blown away the tent. So the diabolic winds couldn't have happened. An argument possibly related to the romantic encounter of that left some of them one partially clothed led to a violent dispute. That also was a theory, like that, like, oh, one of the girls were like undressed, and then it led to like them arguing and getting into a fight. That didn't happen.
Yeah.
Which, that's why I didn't go into it, and I only added this at the end because it's not possible. But Donnie states,
And 9 times out of 10, women are mostly cold. So
Yeah.
why would she want to get naked in negative degrees?
yeah. Donnie states that this is highly implausible. By all indications, the group was largely harmonious, and sexual tension was confined to platonic flirtation and crushes. There were no drugs present, and the only alcohol was a small flask of medicinal alcohol found intact at the scene.
Oh, so they didn't even drink it.
The group had also sworn off cigarettes for the expedition, so nothing was used like that. Furthermore, a fight could not have left the massive injuries that one body had suffered. Another theory put forward that hallucinogenic mushrooms, also known as magic mushrooms, were consumed. These were common in the Urals, but again, they didn't have any drugs, so it's not possible for them to have that. Plus, I don't think if you were to take that you would do what you did. But I don't know. I've never done drugs, so I don't know.
According to everything I've heard, like, certain drugs will actually make you hallucinate, like, nightmarish things. So
Maybe.
they could have, if ingested, they could have actually experienced some kind of, like, nightmarish hellscape that they think that they were trying to escape something when actually that didn't.
I still just don't think that's it, though.
I know, it doesn't sound like it would be it.
Unless they brought the shrooms with them, there's no way they would have found them in the snow.
Yeah.
That's true.
So, like, they wouldn't have found them anywhere. But if that was the case, that could have induced them
But
to...
you would think that they would have done a toxology report and they would have found that in their system.
Yeah, but if they waited 3 days.
That's true. I don't know. I still think it was military. Okay, so a mountain pass in the area was later named Dylatov Pass in memory of the group. In many languages, the incident is now referred to as the Dylatov Pass incident. However, the incident occurred about 1,700 meters, 5,600 feet away on the eastern slope of the mountain. A prominent rock outcrop in the area now serves as a memorial to the group. It is located about 500 meters, which is 1,600 feet to the southeast of the actual site of the final camp. There is also a movie called The Devil's Pass about this incident that you can also watch. It's kind of like fiction-y, but it's also like kind of like a documentary. It's like one of the ones that I talked about earlier. But it's a movie about it. It's like a
retelling.
Yeah.
I don't want to watch it.
I kind of want to watch it too. I didn't watch it yet because I just didn't have time because this week was supposed to be Maddie's week, so that's why I kind of just like jumped on this because it's been something I've been wanting to do. So I didn't have time yesterday to watch anything about it because I only had a couple hours.
That could be a discussion in your Facebook group, though.
Yeah.
They can discuss if anybody has seen the movie.
Like what you think about it.
What you think about it, and like if any of the evidence or anything that we've talked about was mentioned in it.
Yeah.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
So,
Nice,
Go on.
healthy discussion.
but go on Facebook. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, go on Facebook. You can email us. We also have a Reddit page, which I'll go into whenever like we do the ending of the podcast. I do this whole spiel. But yeah, so I think it was the military. Don't come at me.
I'm still going with Jealous Yeti.
Jealous Yeti.
I will die on that hill.
What's your theory?
I'm tossing between either military experiments not experience, but military training gone wrong because they were, obviously off the beaten path situation.
Wrong place, wrong time.
Wrong place, wrong time situation. I'm going with like something like that, or somewhere along the lines of like the catatonic, like infrared sound causing them to panic. I wouldn't say it was the winds because they've already kind of debunked that, but because of like the high elevation and like different things, something of that nature could have made them do that. So
I would agree with that too, besides my Yeti theory.
Yeah, like one of those two. Either wrong place, wrong time, or, something causing them to go into a panic outside of like a normal circumstance.
Yeah, no, that's my take on it too. Whenever I first heard this, because I first heard this whenever I first started listening to true crime podcasts like 3 years ago, however long it was, they did the Dylatov Pass, and I just remember like listening, and I was like, oh my god, like what caused that? And ever since then, I've been like very into it. And then yesterday, whenever I found out that Maddie wouldn't be able to record because she's sick, I was actually scrolling on Facebook, and it came up, and I was like, I've been wanting to cover this. This is my sign to cover it. So then it came back on my radar, even though it's been on my radar for a while. And I was like, you know what? I'm actually just going to cover it because I already have some like I already know about the case. I already heard everything that I could possibly hear about it.
It happened in February.
It happened in February, and I was just like, it's the perfect time to do it.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, I'll just do it. So yeah, that's the reason why I decided to do this one. But yeah, it's just like, I don't know. It's just crazy. Like,
I'm very interested in this like traumatized like. Thing.
Yeah.
See, what did you call it? What was it?
The Devil's Pass.
Let's Google it. Ouch.
Devil's Pass incident. But you guys gotta go.
I mean, I live here, so.
Oh no, I mean, like.
I gotta check her hair.
Oh, okay. I was like, that's what I was like. Oh, I meant like you guys gotta go like wash out your hair.
Oh no, she's gonna go jump in the shower.
Oh, okay. So yeah. Let us know what you guys thought of this episode. And again, I am so sorry for not being able to speak half the time and not being able to pronounce things. So I'm really sorry. You can yell at me. I don't mean to do it purposefully. I did it on complete accident. It's just, I just don't know how to speak.
Like I said, English is hard.
English is hard. Speaking is hard. Talking is hard. Reading is hard. Life is hard.
That last one, though.
It's fine.
5 more minutes.
So yeah, so we're gonna wrap up there because it's been 1 hour and 17 minutes.
That's how long it takes to do my hair.
So, please follow, like, share, comment. You can message our social medias, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Dreadfully Twisted Podcast. We really appreciate, you can probably hear Bella.
Bella wants to be a part of the conversation.
She's like, hear me. She's like, go there.
Yes.
Do it.
Do the thing. Because I am Bella and I said so. Bella is Jackie's cat.
So.
Do you want to join the discussion?
If you actually get her meowing, I'm going to die.
Come on, Bella. Say something.
Bella, speak.
Come on. No?
She's like, nah, I'll do it whenever I feel like it. So, please, we're asking you to go to our Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Dreadfully Twisted Podcast. Follow it, subscribe to YouTube, not Facebook and Instagram. I don't know what I'm talking about right now. So please go there, follow, like, share, blow up our feed.
Press all the buttons.
It really helps our podcast pages get out there on those platforms. And we also have a group page on Facebook. It's called Dreadfully Twisted Podcast Discussion Group. The group is to talk about our podcast, Dreadfully Twisted, or any true crime, paranormal things that are happening. And it is also there to tell us your stories that you would like us to share on the podcast. And we recommend cases to us and ideas you would like us to cover. We hope that the group makes it easier to send us your stories and to contact us and to get in touch with our listeners. But in case you don't have Facebook, you can also email us at dreadfullytwistedpodcast@gmail.com, or you can go to our Reddit page if you like to do Reddit. It's r/dreadfullytwistedpod. You can also rate the podcast page or download, comment on each episode. I know on Spotify there is a thing at the end where you can say what you thought about it, or you can do polls. So please do that. It also helps the podcast stay relevant and get out there. It just helps the podcast with anything that because people will see oh, this podcast is getting some traction, so people will also go into it and like it. You can also listen to Dreadfully Twisted podcast on Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Samsung Podcast, Amazon Music, Podcast Index, Listen Notes, and YouTube. So if you have friends and family that you would like to recommend the podcast to, they can listen on those things. And lastly, please share a podcast with family and friends. It really helps the podcast out there and stay relevant. And I also forgot to add this. We normally add this is please rate us 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars. Not making you, but rate us 5 stars. Okay. And yeah, just stay positive. Don't be like any of the bad people we talk about whenever we talk about true crime stuff. Be nice to people. Doesn't take anything to be kind. And yeah, just, we don't want to cover you on this podcast. So yeah. So yeah, hopefully Maddie will be back next week and she'll be feeling better. I'm sure next week it will be her episode. So I'm excited to hear what she was going to do. And yeah. And my next episode will be about the Slender Man killings, because that's what I was going to cover next, but I didn't get to do the research yet.
I love the Slender Man theories.
No, like this murder happened because people
really?
thought that they were seeing Slender Man and they killed their friend.
Oh my god, I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So she doesn't love the murder. she likes the creepypasta of Slender Man.
Pasta. I thought it was the creepypasta. Never mind.
No, it's a murder that happened because these teenage girls thought that they were seeing Slender Man and that Slender Man told them to kill their friend.
Oh, that's not the creepypasta.
No. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be covering next after Maddie's episode. And then I was going to cover this one after that, but maybe next time I'll do something more spooky and paranormal. But yeah, I've been going on way too long. My voice is shot. So yeah, bye. Just kidding. We love you. Bye.
Bye. Bye. That's the word.
Yeah, if we have to go to Walmart, I do pick up.
I
But
do pick up.
if we're going to like a physical store, like we have to go pick out things like ourselves, we'll go to Shop and Save.
Okay. I'm just testing. Start off saying, hi, it's Caressa, I already started it. It's fine. We're fine. It just started on its own.
Oh.
Oh, nice. That's my ghost.
Hey, it's Caressa.
And
we're
not
not
Maddie.
You're not listening,
You're not listening to true crime right now.
you're listening to, oh god, I'm messing this up. What's wrong with me?
Redo. He shows his bloopers as well.
Oh, I do every single week.